Not everybody has had the opportunity to meet a millionaire or meet a billionaire. And across social media and across our world, we're constantly inundated and bombarded with the persona or the character of who they are. And there's a certain rhetoric in the internet, which tells us these people innately are almost bad or evil, and they've had to do certain things to get their way. I've met a handful of billionaires and countless millionaires. And so I want to teach you about the 5 things that I've noticed that they all share. Let's get going. I want to start here. They are unremarkable. The more you meet, the more you realize these people are just humans. They're completely normal and they come in all different shapes and sizes. Some are anxious, some are extroverts, some are highly intelligent and some aren't. There is no type of person that becomes a millionaire or billionaire, but there's certain characteristics that they definitely share. I think it's really comforting to know that they're unremarkable, because the more you see that, the more you realize wait, there's nothing holding me back getting there myself. This is number 2. There's this certain obsession. It doesn't matter what their business or what their thing is, they're completely obsessed with their craft. I've met one that their full-time business was the central door locking systems that were shared across most cars across the world. Some ridiculous percentage of 70% of all cars in the world has this door locking system. When you hear that, it's that is the most unexciting business you can imagine. But hearing that person talk across the dinner table about their craft and seeing how intoxicated and excited they are about their craft, you realize this person is completely obsessed. And that is just a requirement to be very successful. Number 3. They are masters of communication. I think about this all the time when it comes to business. If there's one skill that I want to outperform out of anything else, it's your ability to communicate, because you can solve so many problems. You have to interface with so many different humans, whether it be your own internal team members, suppliers, people looking to invest in your company, whatever it is, you have to get really good at being able to communicate your vision. And these people all share that ability. They're incredible storytellers about their craft. And so you're really attracted to them as personalities, and they're very interesting in whatever they talk about. I've had this thought about myself. If I had to boil my entire day down and go what is it that I actually do? Truthfully, it's just stringing the right series of words together to get the job done. And so if you want to sharpen your communication skills, one of the best things you can do, regardless if you're going to post the content, is film and record yourself. And so in the early days of our first business, every cold call I would make and every sales interaction I would do over Zoom or Google Meets, I would record it and I would listen and watch it back. And what I'm trying to do is put myself in the listener's shoes and go, what are the words I could have removed? What were the moments that I used certain words that connected with the person, the aha moments where their body language changed? And then I essentially create a toolkit of stories to tell and just get better and better and refine and chop out as much fluff as you humanly possibly can. Those 3 words. That was a bit of fluff. Chop that out. But don't actually chop it out, Kai, because this adds to it. Number 4. They are relentless in their pursuit of education. And I don't mean this in the way that, they've all gone to university and get fancy degrees. I certainly have done none of that, and I was absolutely terrible at school. But there is this insatiable appetite to continually learn. As one of the really interesting things is when you meet these people, when you're sharing about your business or your story or your craft, they're very curious and they ask a lot of the exact right questions to draw information out, because they just want to continually stack their learnings. And I think there's a couple of reasons why they want to do that. And I'll talk from my opinion. The more you know about a breadth of topics, the more well-rounded and interesting you become. Because the next time, you don't know when you're going to talk to someone and someone talks to you randomly about talking about the central door locking systems in a car. And you're oh, actually, and you can start having a conversation. Having those conversations and building relationships is really positive. But of course, it's also about I think a founder of a business, you want to be deep in knowledge, but you want to have a wide range of knowledge too, because you need to know enough to be dangerous. And so in my business, I want to know as much of the technical stuff as I possibly can. I'm never going to write code, but know enough that I can traverse a conversation with someone and meaningfully understand the problem that's getting solved. Because as a founder, you're connecting the dots from all these different teams. And so by having a certain depth of the marketing, of the go-to-market, of the content side, but also the technical side, you can start pulling these pieces together, and that's your special skill set. Number 5, they're not ashamed to talk about money. It's really interesting. I've gone to many dinners where you sit down and across the table, we're starting having conversations with 4 founders who've done really well in their life. And you're starting to talk about perhaps the renovation, the new business, the investment you've just made. And across the table is like, oh, how much did you spend on that? Oh, what are the repayments? Like, oh, what's the interest? They're genuinely curious. Now, it's not because there is a competition going on, like, oh, who's making the most money? And like, oh, you agree. It's just like, they are commercially minded and to realize that like money is a big part of the world and get really comfortable having those conversations. There's not this like afraid of that topic about money. And I think that's really interesting because when you're afraid of it, you have this finite mentality in your mind. Instead, they think in abundance and are very comfortable having those conversations about money. All right, I'm gonna give you a bonus one. Number 6, I lied to you in the title, but I think it's important. Let's bring it right back home to where I started this video, about this rhetoric online, which is fundamentally because you're a billionaire or a millionaire, you must have stepped on people to get where you want to go, and you're just an evil, terrible person. You know what's really, really interesting? The thing that is most common across all of these people I've met is they're genuinely good humans. And that goes against the grain of what so many people believe. And I've thought a lot about this, like, why is that? Like, why is it that there's this perfect strike rate in the people I've met that are just great people? And I think it's because if you want to get to that level of success, you have to be agreeable, a good communicator, a good person. Like, there are so many people that are part of the journey to get success that you need to work with them. And so you have to figure out the art of being a great person and be able to work with others. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, I'm sure there's some terrible ones, evil ones, all of that. I haven't met them. This is giving you my lived experience and something that I've always been pleasantly surprised by. I want to do more of these videos, but I want to know like what's most interesting to you. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and let me know like what are the videos you think are most interesting? Because sometimes I just forget and I'm just going to ramble here. Thank you.